Guys, good afternoon, it's good evening, good morning, whatever time you're watching it. It's Stephen from JimmyGlen, and I'm going to take a wee run along in our 997 Gen 2 convertible. So welcome to a Scottish summer in a 997 Gen 2 convertible. This is about as close as we get to the summer because it's not raining. But anyway, enough about the Scottish weather, because if you get a Scottish person talking about the weather, we'll never shut up. And as the rain's coming on, I'll now demonstrate what you can do up to 30 miles an hour. You can put the roof up. So you don't look like a plonker driving along in your convertible with the roof down. And with the roof up, I can now let you hear what the engine sounds like. So from a nice low RPM at 2,500, you get a nice lump of torque delivery. It's not an engine you need to work overly hard. It's got a nice broad spread torque, which was actually quite surprising the first time I drove a 3.8. The cabin inside, we've got extended leather on the dashboard, and we've got beige leather on the seats, the doors, the lower section of the dashboard and the carpets. Being a 997, it is the last of the 911s with hydraulic steering. If you've never driven one before, it actually gets slightly overwhelming because of the amount of chatter there is through the steering wheel. Initially you think there might actually be a wheel balance away if the road's got a bit of a texture through it, but then you realise it's just the car constantly communicating through the wheels, through the steering wheel, and right into the palms of your hands, just what sort of surface you're on. Steering wheel is right where you need it. You get lots of adjustment. You've got a lovely direct gearbox, 6-speed obviously. But being a Gen 2 car, the automatic version is also a very, very good gearbox, PDK. The earlier Gen 1 cars had an old Tiptronic gearbox, which was basically a full-on torque converter, and it just did not suit the character of the car whatsoever. From memory, it didn't even blip on the down change. So, but humble opinion, I think a sports car, especially if it's something that's going to be used at the weekend, always gives you that extra dimension of driver involvement and driver enjoyment when you've got a good old-fashioned 6-speed gearbox. This is up at 4,000 revs, second gear. That lovely howl, just at 5,000 RPM. 385 brake horsepower, and it feels like 385 healthy horsepower. I always find doing a sort of car review style video of a car that we're trying to sell somewhat biased, obviously, because I don't want to try and sound like I'm trying to sell it, but at the same time I don't want to sound like I'm trying to put you off buying it. So I think for a sports car at this level, I'd say the running costs are extremely palatable. You will see on average about 27 miles to the gallon. On a long run you'll get low 30s. When you're out having a wee play in it, it's rarely going to drop below 21 miles to the gallon. Practicality, we're sitting in a fairly high-end sports car. Okay, the back seats, there's not large by any stretch of the imagination, but if you've got a couple of wee kids and you're looking to have something that you can actually use, and let the kids enjoy it as well, then this is definitely going to be a contender for you. Seating position for the car, seating position I find is absolutely bang on. Often I don't feel like I get low enough in a car, which is saying something considering I'm quite short, but yeah, you can get nice and low in the car. As I said earlier, the steering wheel right in front of you, and the waistline's just up at my shoulders, so I feel like I'm actually sitting nice in the car and not on the car. Now, 911 convertible looks have always been something that you either love or hate. There is an awful lot going on at the back of these cars. We've got the engine, we've got all the mechanism to function, the roof, and we've got a couple of back seats. So yep, certain angles they can look a bit kind of humpy back it, if for want of a better expression. They do sit a wee bit higher at the back than what you would want, just for that kind of lump, but it's all got to be crammed into the packaging. Another selling point for a 911, residual values. They are now renowned for being one of the overall lowest running costs. But by the time you factor in the initial purchase, to running costs, to service and MPG, and also your residual value, what you're going to get for the car at the end. Now, good low mileage, low owner 911s are very, very, very difficult to get a hold of. It's the type of car that can change hands 4 or 5 times in the first 3 or 4 years of its life. So to find a 2 or a 3 owner 911 that's sort of 10, 11 years old is very, very difficult. This car is 2 owners. The pedals are just absolutely, completely in the perfect position for heeling and towing. And when you get used to where the pedals are and you try to do it in a normal car, it's like you've never ever done it before. They're just exactly where you need them to be when you want to do a wee bit of heeling and towing, which is nice. And it's the sort of car that makes you want to drive it to your absolute best ability, which is something that I tend to find comes with the slightly older car, because the newer cars, they do everything just too well. It feels like it does everything for you. And moving on to the dislikes, so we've got the infotainment in the car, which is now old. It's now old. This is PCM2. It's a decent update from the Gen 1, but mostly so it's really just the fonts and the colours. And as I was saying earlier about the looks of the car, from the front and the side, it's absolutely beautiful. From the back, because there is so much going on, the engine, the back seats, the roof, you know, it is all limited with the packing that's available, and they've had to kind of bring the back of the car up a wee bit. This does make it look a little bit awkward from certain angles. Thank you very much for joining me on the drive along review, and if there's anything I can help with on the car, please feel free to get in touch.